Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest Apron Work podcast in honor of the greatest Royal Rumble that just passed. It's your boys, Matt, Mike, and Mike. ResPass looks disgusted at me right now for the way I'm doing this intro. Let's check in on everyone. ResPass, how you doing today, bud?
You're getting amazing at this intro thing.
I'm trying my best.
I feel like you found your niche right here with this one.
I am.
It's a winner.
Yeah, thank you. Peach, how you feeling today, bud?
Not too shabby. Yourself?
I'm doing fan-frickin-tastic. It's Avengers weekend. Almost as important as professional wrestling to me is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm using that as the tie-in to our topic today, is kind of stables and factions. We were talking to each other. I was like, it's Avengers weekend. It's a super team up, so let's talk about different stables and factions. First off, do not worry. We will not spoil anything about the Avengers movie. I've already seen it twice. And it came out Thursday. This is Sunday night. But no spoilers for that, so you don't have to worry about shutting off or anything like that. But before we jumped into this greatest stables factions, the greatest Royal Rumble happened on Sunday night or Friday afternoon. It was really weird. Like, it was just a very weird event to watch. ResPass or Peach, Peach, we know you didn't watch it. ResPass, you didn't watch it, right?
I watched basically the endings of the matches. I think I watched a little bit too much of the Cena Triple H match.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't seem too bad. I was more curious about the Rumble, only because I had seen that Bryan was in it for a while. So yeah. I was curious how they did it, but
yeah, he broke the record. As soon as I was before the Rumble started, I said I thought Braun Strowman was going to win. Bryan entered number 1, and I'm like, okay, I think Daniel Bryan might actually win this now. And then he lasted an hour 15 minutes, so guess he's making up for lost time, not being able to wrestle. And then Braun Strowman won it. But the sad thing to come from this greatest Royal Rumble was probably one of the greatest things to ever take place. Now, Peachy has not seen this yet. So, we thought it'd be fun to send him the video link of what happened.
This is a tie-in to the show, by the way. This is not off topic, because he is the leader of the greatest faction going right now.
Yeah, Titus Worldwide.
So, Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, this happened with Titus O'Neil at the Greatest Royal Rumble. So, Peach, there's your link. I'll let you watch that, but it's it just, since this doesn't make for great podcasting, I was sitting there watching it, and I looked and I'm like, wait, did that really just happen? And then I just hear, the announcers start going crazy. And I'm like, that actually happened. Are they going to just bury this, and just completely not acknowledge what just happened? And then they replayed it, and replayed it, and replayed it. Again, and again, and it was... What'd you think of it, Mike?
I'm assuming you mean this Mike, me.
Yes.
The way they reacted to it, part of me was... I had to watch it again just because I was like... Was this staged? Did they do this on purpose? Because they almost were right on the ball with it. But you know what I mean? Like, it almost seemed like they were quick to react. And Michael Cole cracked up. Oh my God, was he laughing? You could tell. I don't. If somebody was telling him to be professional, he couldn't.
No,
that was hilarious. Oh my God.
Byron Saxton tried to reel him back in, and it just did not work whatsoever.
He just kept showing it.
Where you at in it, Peach?
He just dove under the ring.
Oh, did you see the
replay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just replayed
it. Can you hear the announcers?
Yeah, laughing at him.
Oh my God, it was great. They replayed that honestly about
replaying it again.
Yeah.
The greatest moment in Royal Rumble history from Michael Cole.
The greatest moment in the greatest Royal Rumble.
That was... I was watching that live, and I lost it. It was great.
This is like the 4th different angle that they've showed this from.
Yeah, this was an ongoing thing the rest of the Rumble. Oh man, it was.
How many people were in this one?
50.
50. Jeez.
Yeah, and now this is crazy. They were not keeping the full. It was 90 seconds. They were not keeping 90 seconds because I want to say Daniel Bryan lasted. He entered number 1, and he lasted. He was the second to last person thrown out. Braun Strowman won it. Big Cass threw Daniel Bryan out. Then Strowman threw Big Cass out. Excuse me. But then, so Bryan lasted about an hour and 15 minutes, I think is what like his official time was. The Rumble itself was maybe an hour, 18 minutes then at that point, because Big Cass got thrown out right afterwards. Like, the normal 30-person Royal Rumble match is usually, like, Rey Mysterio was the previous record holder at 62 minutes. So this one lasted only 15 more minutes with 20 more people.
Yeah, I was counting at one point because I was like, it sounds like they're coming out really quick, and then there was one point I wasn't even counting up to a minute, and they were already like starting on the next one coming out.
Yeah, I had a stopwatch going a couple times, like from buzzer to buzzer. But yeah, Titus O'Neil's falling. It is worth. If you haven't seen it yet, I might post it when we post this podcast up, just because it is worth watching. Oh man, it is great.
Not to stay too far on this subject, but I love the fact that they had Bryan last and Big Cass threw him out, and then Big Cass not winning. Like I love the fact that they still, regardless of what kind of show it was, they used it to kind of further that Big Cass, Daniel Bryan
I like it.
feud along.
It actually puts a little more meaning behind their match at Backlash next. Yeah. I think it's next week. I don't know if I'll be able to watch it because my WWE Network account apparently got hacked. So
that was me.
Oh, okay.
Russian bots.
Thank you. Yeah, it might have been a Russian bot, but yeah. So I'm currently waiting for WWE to get back to me about that. So not super happy, but yeah. Let's see if we can twist the Titus O'Neil thing into Titus Worldwide and talk about factions and stables. Did I do all right with that, Russ Pass?
Yes. PG, who's in Titus Worldwide without looking it up?
Titus O'Neil.
Yes.
And that other guy.
Yes. And
a third guy, because it's a faction. It has to have 3.
Nope, not 3 guys.
Oh, guy, girl?
Yeah.
No clue.
You did very good at it. Good job, Peach.
Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke.
Yes.
And for some reason,
Apollo?
Yeah.
I like them too.
And then like Akira Tozawa was in it at some point, but I think they just forgot about him, which like I think kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, so Mike, you had posed to me a couple questions that I kind of just ignored because I think I was drinking when you sent them.
Yeah.
So this is a good opportunity for you to kind of pose them now. Just I guess they were just general questions about stables and factions, but
yeah, just to kind of tie in what we're saying here. My first question was, and it's an opinion question for both of you.
Opinions are like assholes.
Yes,
I'm one of them.
Yeah. As far as your faction goes, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a Bullet Club NWO where it's like you're either with us against this kind of thing, it's everybody against them, there's constant movement, people joining, people getting kicked out, or like DX where it was pretty consistent along the way with that, that solid core. That the first, obviously, with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and then it kind of became more, Triple H.
How are you going to forget Rick Rude? How are you going to forget Rick Rude? Come on, man.
Well, they were the degenerates.
But I'm just saying, as far as in general, it didn't really fluctuate who was in it.
Yeah.
There wasn't people in it for a couple weeks and then getting kicked out. They weren't,
Yeah, DX really had
against this thing. It was their small, tight knit group, really.
Yeah, DX had really 2 incarnations. You had like Rick Rude with Michaels and Hunter, and then I forget if China was there, but then it might have been Rick Rude was the one that left, and then China took his place, and then you had X-Pac, and then the Outlaws. Peach, I'll let you go first, because I kind of have a long-winded answer to this.
So, like, I kind of have a question to go along with it. Are there many, good, like, factions, or are they all mostly heels? Like, because I think I just remember the heels because they're more fun.
And that was actually something I was probably going to get into. It's funny. When they're a good faction, they're a badass, cool, good faction.
No. Like Kurt Angle's group, like the three of them, they were all goody-goodies,
Weren't they
Mr. America.
They were heels, weren't they?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Angle, Benjamin, and Charlie Haas?
Yeah, they were heels.
Yeah.
Oh.
But when DX was good, they were badass good guys. When NWO at that time that it was perceived as good, they were badass. You don't have you really don't have a faction that's like a good faction.
The closest you have now is like the New Day, and that's only like three guys. I mean, you don't really have. I'm trying to even think. To your question, like with good, so you bring up the Bullet Club, and now this is where, the people that might listen to this show that are definitely have more, know more than I do. So in New Japan, I think every person that kind of goes into New Japan, any new wrestler or anything like that, they join a faction over there, regardless. So, the factions are like Bullet Club, Chaos, Los, oh god, I can't even, I'm going to butcher this. Naito's a part of it. Los Inobres, to Japan, or I'm butchering that terribly. Let me just try to find it to see if I can actually sound out words. But Suzuki Jin, I think, is the other one. Suzuki Gun, Taguchi Japan is another one, to where these teams, oh god, I'm not even going to pronounce that. But you have those teams that are kind of all, when you join or when you kind of go in there, you kind of pick one and you're there, or you're on their side the whole time. So that's why you have a Bullet Club, to where it's adding in and out members, because when someone leaves New Japan, when Styles left, they have to fill his shoes, so they bump up Kenny Omega and bump him up, and then add Cody Rhodes. But Peach, yeah, I'm going to look through now.
But you know what? Actually, the first one I'm looking at that really, for a majority of their time, was good. Too Cool.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call them a badass group.
Nah.
My mouse not working.
The Freebirds, Freebirds were mostly good guys, right?
I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know.
And I thought that they might have went back and forth. Yeah, fortunately, I'm not old enough.
Yeah, I mean the Freebirds and the Von Erichs. I know that was that was the big rivalry there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Wyatt family had a small.
They're great bad guys.
But yeah, I think a lot of times you get bad guys that basically the crowd turns good.
Right.
The Shield. That's another one. I mean, they were bad guys. The crowd basically turned, and they were only really good when they were feuding with the Triple H, Orton, and Batista.
Yeah, and I think the Wyatts too, because that was that match right before one of the WrestleManias. I want to say WrestleMania 30, when it was the Wyatts versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber or whatever the pay-per-view was before.
But again, they're badass. It's like that borderline good guys that do heelish things to win.
Yes.
Even though you're screwing over the bad guy, it's that NWO factor where you gotta seem cool when you're doing it. And
I just saw their name. I couldn't think of it before. The world's greatest tag team was Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas.
Yes. But yeah, you think that the corporation, the ministry,
The authority,
Yeah, they're all bad. The Nexus. I'm going through and just like pulling up
Yeah,
some of these, and I completely forgot about them.
Nation of Domination.
Yeah, they were
Straight
you
Edge
have,
Society.
You have Undisputed Era right now going to NXT.
Yes. And I'm really happy with Roddy's joining that one. I've been waiting for him to turn for a while. I thought he was going to turn at War Games. I think that would have been perfect, but this adds even more with Bobby Fish out on injury. To put Roddy in there just works perfectly.
Yeah, and that's actually when we've reviewed the show. That's why I said that was the perfect thing for them to do, was to kind of, because it was weird. I don't know. Did you watch the latest episode on Wednesday, Walt?
I did not know.
Well, they had him come out, and I don't remember them ever announcing that Roddy was the tag team champion. Because the last I had seen, Adam Cole still was, and then they came out and Roddy had the title.
It's
like, I don't know if it got announced somewhere.
Well, no, it's the Freebird rule. So it's whoever's part of the Undisputed Era. Like, so that's what.
Yeah, but he got kind of like announced as the tag team champion. Like, it was the first that I heard them do it. You know, I thought they were going to come out and like Adam Cole was going to say, "Well, this is for you helping this kind of thing." And they just he just had it on them. And it was just like, okay, they're the tag champs now.
Yeah. But yeah, so to your point, Peach, yeah, there's not really any truly good guy that I can think of. I'm sure anybody listening is going to yell at us in the comments section about ones we're missing probably or things like that.
I think most of the times, I mean, if you're going to have it, it's a tag team with a manager, you know, or like, I think good guy stables don't last very long because the whole point of having the faction, the stable, is for them to kind of cheat and all that other stuff. And, you know, good guys, they do it on their own, kind of. So it's tough, I guess. The whole point behind the faction is purely to be bad guys.
Yeah, but to like your point, Mike, like I don't know, like I kind of treat like factions and stables sometimes like bands almost, to where you don't want them to like if they replace the lead singer, like when Fred replaced John Nolan in Taking Back Sunday. Was that still the same Taking Back Sunday that, you know, wrote Tell All Your Friends? No, it's a different band, but they're still taking the same name. So, you know, with like the Bullet Club, you have Devitt, Anderson, and Gallows as a Bullet Club, and then you also have the Bucks and Kenny Omega. They're technically all the Bullet Club because of how people moved in and out. Are they the same Bullet Club? No, they're different, but do you just keep that name going, or do you give a new name every time? I personally I like more lengthy stories. So if you have like a group or a stable that kind of stays together for a long period of time, like the New Day, for example, and you just keep building them up, it just makes for the better stories, I think, in the long haul. Or when they ultimately break up, you don't have the new incarnation of the New Day. You replace, if Kofi Kingston were to decide to leave and you replace him with one member or something like that, then you can have them come back together, and that just makes it fun. Like the Shield, for example. So the Shield, when Rollins turned on Ambrose and Reigns, they didn't go out looking for a new third member of the Shield so that they can keep going as the Shield. They just kind of end it. And now, every now and then they'll come back and join up together back as that group.
Well, Jason Jordan was an honorary member. Let's not forget that.
Kurt Angle was. But yeah, that's kind of I prefer them to not move people in and out. But then how I was thinking about it is in New Japan, the way those kind of factions and groups are set up. You just have the name, and then a leader. It's it's a rotating leader, and then you just you move people in and out as they go along.
Right. So more like the family setup, like the Hart Dynasty and the Hart Foundation, like the
You know those are two different things. Peach, who's in the Hart Dynasty without looking at it?
I already have it up.
Ah, damn it.
But like, that's the coming from the stables, like you're talking about in New Japan, where it's just people that have trained in the Hart Dungeon.
Well, the Hart Foundation, I believe, was all actual Hart members. It was Owen, Brett, Jim. Was Davey Boy in there?
Brett, Jim, Jimmy Hart,
at one point,
Danny Davis.
I believe wasn't at one point Brian Pillman too, right? If I remember right. I mean, it might have been temporary. I feel like I
don't remember Pillman, but like the Hart Foundation, that was basically family, and then the Hart Dynasty was Davey Boy Smith and Tyson Kidd with Natalya as the manager. I like that they continue to name, and like, yeah, Tyson Kidd isn't a Hart member by blood, but he basically married into the family, so that kind of works out.
Ted DiBiase, Teddy Hart, Bret Hart. That's more like the stables that are set up in Japan. It's just people that train out of the same spot, right?
No, not really.
No?
Nah. Nah, like when Cody Rhodes joined the Bullet Club, it was just basically there was an advertisement, Cody Rhodes is joining the Bullet Club.
Yeah, he was the new hot name on the indies, and
yeah, they recruited him, quote unquote.
It's essentially the NWO just on a wider scale, and I actually think the reason why it works a little bit better with the indies is because people are constantly in and out. You could jump it from show to show where you can use an ROH. You're jumping all around with it. I feel like it works a little bit better. The downside is unless you're following every single show that every single turn happens on. Thank God for the internet. To really keep track of everything that's going on, it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, there are people in the Bullet Club I don't know. I forget that the Guerrillas of Destiny are in the Bullet Club. When they had that Long Island special a couple weeks ago, when it was Cody and Marty versus Guerrillas of Destiny, I was like, oh yeah, they're the Bullet Club. So it was Bullet Club versus Bullet Club.
To be honest with you, back in the NWO days, I remember random Japanese wrestlers showing up with NWO shirts I had never seen before. So,
well, the NWO that just I'm still confused about that. I didn't watch WCW as heavily as I did with WWE, but like after a while, I think the only person never in NWO was Sting. And the weird part about that was because he always wore black and white. Am I right?
Didn't he? I believe he joined the Wolfpack at one point near the end. If I remember right.
Sting was red in that Wolfpack, wasn't he?
I believe.
Yeah, but the Wolfpack wasn't the NWO.
But the only person that did not join any faction, I think, wasn't there? There was three of them. If I remember right.
DDP, Goldberg,
and Ric Flair. I don't remember Flair ever joined them either. I think they were like the three top guys that like never joined.
Yeah. Speaking of Flair, you have the Horseman as well. Like, yeah. I mean, he was part of that, so I mean, it didn't make sense for him to join like the NWO if he was. But if he wasn't.
Now there's another group. I mean, it depends on what Horseman you're thinking of when you're talking about it. I mean, Benoit was a Horseman. Mongo McMichaels was a Horseman. Steve Mongo McMichaels.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like to me, I consider the Horsemen Flair, Tully, Arn, and oh my God, why can't I think of the last one? Man, Culver's gonna kill me. Oh my God, I can't.
Peachy gets to it before Walton does.
Yeah, Peachy. Oh my! Why can't I think of this?
Go to the Skype. The Skype message.
JJ Dillon, Barry Windham. I was thinking of Windham. But yeah, like the original four, and then yeah, like you were saying, like Sting was a horseman, Sid Vicious, Pillman, Benoit, Jarrett, Malenko, Kurt Hennig. So yeah, like they kind of moved around, but yeah, like the four horsemen you always had as Ric Flair. At least Flair was always one of the main ones.
Yeah,
that's where he was a part of, so he didn't necessarily need to be a part of the NWO.
But it's the same thing where, like, if I say NWO, who do you think of? You think of the initial three.
Yeah.
Even though everybody and their mother has been a part of the NWO at some point.
Yeah. I will say, like, to kind of tie it back with, I think, hold on, was he before I actually talk out my ass with this one? Where is... No, he was not part of it. Never mind. I thought he was.
Who?
I thought Flair was part of the Main Event Mafia. So, like, when I was thinking about the way I kind of described this topic, I was comparing it against the Avengers, you know, kind of the best of the best teaming up together to fight something ultimate. And I was, like, looking at the Main Event Mafia because you had Angle, Nash, Booker T, Steiner. Those are four of the best right there as a faction. What are you laughing at, Mike? I see you chuckling over here.
No, yes, I agree with you.
Oh, man, this is, like, awkward. It's like Daddy just hit Mommy at the supper table now.
No, but you know what the Avengers are like, and it actually ties into what Peachy said. Surprisingly, I'm tying in something that Peachy said, not you, Walt. Good guys don't make long-term factions, but they do when it's needed. There's been alliances made. That drink sounds delicious, Walt.
I'll try to mute that out.
Not me saying that it sounds delicious, though. You know, you have like the mega powers and stuff like that. You know, where it was a short term, regardless if it's a tag team or faction. You don't really get good guys long term, and that, if anything, that ties in a little bit more than how we even came up with this subject. The Avengers aren't a long term thing. You know, they all have their own standalone stories, their standalone stuff. But when it's needed, they're kind of teaming together.
True. So, Mike, what was the other question you had kind of posed to me that I ignored?
Now you're asking me to remember what I asked you a couple days ago?
Yes, I am. This makes for great podcasting.
It does. Well, you should have been prepared.
Yeah.
Host.
Peach, what's your what's your kind of favorite stable or faction, or like one of the best ones you from?
That I remember, like the Right to Censor. Do you remember the Right to Censor?
Love the Right to Censor. Stevie Richards, Molly Holly, or no, Ivory. I'm sorry, Ivory, Val Venus, the Good Father. One of the best entrances ever, where it was just the wah, wah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you want to compare stable to the Avengers?
It's Right to Censor.
The Right to Censor. Yeah.
That actually was one of my questions. Not necessarily favorite, but
who's in the Right to Censor?
Yes. I wanted to see if we could figure that out. No, it was actually like, was there any factions you wish had more time to develop? That they made kind of a bigger deal about? You know,
for me,
like
this is a simple one, and this goes back to my Mount Rushmore list because he's one of my favorites. Straight Edge Society.
Right, yeah.
They built them up. He was great. They were just kind of off the edge. You had Luke Gallows. I love the way they turned him from fetus into Luke Gallows with the Punk saved him from drugs and stuff like that.
Festus.
Yeah, Festus. That was just a cool way to turn him into being somewhat normal. I wish they got more like kind of respect that they were given. That was an easy one for me.
Peach, do you agree?
With the
Right
to Censor?
You wish Right to Censor
but
became main event.
Well, like, they just picked off the guys that they wanted to be big. Like, having Punk by himself was so much better than having him in the Right to Censor. Or having him in the Straight Edge Society. Like they have to cherry pick these guys that are doing well.
I mean, his gimmick worked really well because it was the same straight edge gimmick with he had followers, so the cult following worked really well. The straight edge heel CM Punk that you got with Paul Heyman was very similar to the straight edge society CM Punk that you were getting in the 2007 2006 SmackDown era. Just wasn't as heavily promoted.
Yeah, it was kind of getting hidden.
Yeah, it was hidden because nobody was really watching it because Punk never dropped the pipe bomb. But he was saying all the same stuff, how he was better than everyone because he's straight edge. He did a lot more. He shaved Selena Deeb's head in the middle of a ring as part of that.
Wasn't that him and Hardy there for a while over at SmackDown that had a pretty...
It wasn't when Punk was part of the Straight Edge Society. It was just him on his own. When he kind of did heel champion. But that was real too because Hardy had all the drug problems and was getting arrested.
I'm surprised you didn't mention a different one, Walt. King Booker's Court.
You're just reading these on the paper now.
No,
okay.
like I thought you were to mention King because we've mentioned it before on the podcast.
Yeah, but I probably agree with Walton a little bit more though, as far as who should have gotten. I mean, King Booker's Court kind of got what it should have gotten.
Yeah, he was champion. He won King of the Ring. I think they had a U.S. championship run in there too with one of their members.
There's not really long-term stability in some of those groups. Like even the John Bradshaw Layfield's cabinet. Like there's not long-term stability in a group that's solely based. Like that Straight Edge Society could have continued on without Punk. Would it have been as good? No, but it could have continued on. They could have found a way to edge it in. King Booker's Court without Booker
is nothing.
Yeah.
Because it was all based around the idea that King Booker won the King of the Ring, and he got the King gimmick, and he just ran with it.
Yeah.
And then you had Regal and Finlay. Was it? Yeah, Finlay won a U.S. title run during that. And then Booker, I think he held the title for almost a year. So yeah, that was real good. I think that was the last he retired right after. That's where he lost the championship to Triple H, I think, at WrestleMania.
Well, the lead into my answer of my own question was I wish they gave more time to the ECW, WCW, WWE kind of when they had bought WCW. Remember
the invasion angle?
Yeah, the invasion. I felt like that could have done right. That could have been done right had they give it the time to be done right. The problem is Vince would have never had it because
it's not WWE.
Yeah, and actually, the biggest problem was Goldberg didn't come over, and initially they didn't have Goldberg, Sting, Flair, they didn't have
your biggest names when they did that. What was it? That WCW Monday Night Raw to where it was the last match of the night. Your biggest names were Buff Bagwell and Booker T. And at the time, it wasn't the Booker T that we know now of King Booker's Court or things like that. Booker T, he was a 5-time champion, I believe, at that point, but he was not the Booker T that we know. He was a high-level mid-card guy, but he was supposed to be the top guy to go against Austin and Angle and Rock.
The reason why I felt like they could have done it right because you already had WCW kind of retreads on the roster. You had Jericho, you had the Radicals. You had people over there that they could have... I mean, they eventually developed Eddie Guerrero to be a top guy, They had guys like that they could have developed knowing full well that this was coming over time where you didn't have to kind of force down, like you said, you didn't have to force Booker to be wrestling at the top because you could have already had a guy like Jericho at the top there waiting, kind of bringing his guys with him. I don't know. I felt like it could have been done better, but as with everything else, including the ECW being brought back on Sci-Fi, if Vince didn't create it, it can't be better than what Vince is doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to actually look up now that Control for WWE match where it was the Alliance versus WWE. I just want to see what the card was or the match was because yeah, it was Survivor. Was this it? Survivor Series 2001. Yeah. So here's your 5-1-5. The winner got control of the WWE match for the Alliance side. Booker T, Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Shane McMahon, and Stone Cold. Two of those guys, one of them, Rob Van Dam from ECW, that makes sense. Booker T from WCW, that makes sense. Kurt Angle never set foot in WCW. Stone Cold, yeah, he was in WCW as a Hollywood blonde, but he wasn't the Stone Cold that's not where he got his name made. So that doesn't make any sense. And then Shane McMahon, okay, from the storyline point, yeah, that makes sense because he was the one that bought WCW. But
yeah, I
wish they would have did it better. Don't get me wrong. I definitely, hands down, I think mostly anybody that's probably listening to this would agree they messed that one up big time for what we could have gotten. But like you said,
yeah.
you didn't have the Flairs, the Hogans, the Halls, the Nashes, the Goldbergs, the Stings, the big names that would have been an awesome 5-on-5 Survivor Series match.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you asked this. What's each of your guys' favorite kind of stable or faction? Authority? Like current day?
Yeah, is it just Triple H and Stephanie, and then whoever else they want to pass through?
There's no real authority right now. They kind of not using that as a gimmick right now.
Okay.
So, but who are your guys' favorite? Peachy, go first.
Either Right to Censor or D-Generation X. D-Generation X was just that. The time growing up, that was the big one. That they were the best on the mic. They had the best matches. Right to Censor were just kind of gimmicky, heely, funny.
I actually think I have a Stevie Richards autograph of him in his Right to Censor outfit somewhere.
Philly guy.
He is. That's how I got it. A friend of my mom's met him somewhere and got the autograph for me.
Yeah, you want the ghost though.
Okay, that explains a lot. Yeah, those are good. Yeah, I love DX. The DX incarnation for me is Triple H, Chyna, X-Pac, and the Outlaws. Outlaws are one of my favorite tag teams. Them on the mic, I think, is some of the best. When we saw them at the Royal Rumble, when Reigns won, it was the Outlaws coming back versus the Ascension or something, and I was just so excited to hear Road Dogg and Billy Gunn live do their the "Yo, you didn't know." That was fun to me. But Mike, who you got? You're in deep thought over there.
Yes, I'm in very deep thought. I'm trying to think who I possibly could be my favorite. Trying to think all the way across. I was a big Radicals guy.
Radicals were real good. If it wasn't for what he did, Chris Benoit would be one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, Dean Malenko is one of my favorites. I love that group. It was shocking that they let them kind of come in and wreak havoc, only because those guys. It was almost like the Jericho when he came in against The Rock. It was surprising to see them bring those guys over and actually be thought of as a top, faction.
I remember that
they didn't
Raw.
kind of come in and just get hidden in the background, and it was nice to see.
Yeah, I think it was a Raw they were on. They were sitting in the front row. And this is before the internet, before you knew people were signed, and I had no idea. And I would go back and forth, and I'm just like, wait, what's Eddie Guerrero doing there? And it was just like, wow, like, oh, these guys are like, wait, is this real? Like,
yeah, that's as much as I want to say Job Squad. That the other one's got to be the Wyatt family for me, and I feel like that also answers my last question a little bit. I feel like they missed the boat on that. I felt like that had tremendous potential. They had Wyatt right there as a top guy. You could have added guys. You could have lost guys. It's the same thing as the Straight Edge Society. You have guys, the whole Daniel Bryan angle. They could have done it with so many guys. Just, had him bring guys in, have him ditch guys, have those guys fight against them. It could have went on for years. And instead, it was a mess almost relatively early. The funny thing is, I think what they did with Daniel Bryan could have worked, and I think it almost killed it all at the same time.
I kind of like what they did with Orton recently, like how Orton turned, or that whole storyline of the Orton Wyatt family storyline. I think that worked really well. It was cool that we got a Bray Wyatt title run out of that. I think that ended too short. Like, Orton shouldn't have won that. To go back, Wyatt should have won at WrestleMania, not Cena. They when they first came in and they feuded with Kane, I really liked how they did. They brought them in and kind of like abducted Kane, and you didn't see Kane for a while. They did that, I feel, really well. And then you're exactly right. Like they just didn't have all the faith in him, so they didn't push him to the stars. Like, it sucks that I don't think Harper and Rowan had a tag team title run before their current run as the Bludgeon Brothers. I think Harper was the only one that had a title run when he was teamed with Orton. But they should have been champs well before.
Oh yeah, it had so much potential, and then you did the whole throwing Strowman in there and stuff. It just
the black sheep, yeah.
Just keep it the way it was. That thing still. I mean, that entrance alone, still is amazing, and it just I don't understand why they gave up on it so quick. I'm still questioning it. And the funny thing is they could randomly have the Bludgeon Brothers become Wyatt family members again.
Yep.
And it would still work. It would still work. And I'm still scratching my head on what happened in the first place, and I'm still holding that hope that eventually it comes back. It's almost like the hoping the Biker Taker becomes the old Undertaker again. But I mean, it's that same thing. I'm just holding that hope. Like, let's hope that this whole Matt Hardy thing almost lights a fire under him, kind of, and it pushes him a little bit more than it is Matt Hardy in the grand scheme of it.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm kind of surprised no BWO from you.
I love the BWO, but as far as my favorite factions of all time, I mean, I like the NWO more than the BWO.
Well, yeah, but there's one where you actually like the wrestling, and then there's like liking them for the fun of it.
Well, yeah. To be honest with you, there's a lot of ECW, like the Dudleyville. That was great. I mean, the Dudleys and
the three.
Three.
Spike.
What about Big Dick Dudley?
What was their manager's name? I always forget.
Wait, wasn't Balls Mahoney in that too?
Yeah, that was Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten. That was
all right.
Yeah, I forget. I really like their manager. I forget when. Yeah. This is. I'm excited for the comments that come in from this, just ripping me apart for my knowledge of factions.
We need to get comments first.
Yeah. I'll go real fast while we kind of confirm with the Dudleys. Like, one that I keep coming back to for whatever reason is Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like, big Triple H fan. Flair was in there, and then Orton, Batista, the way they evolved them, and then I think a lot of it came from when you look at nowadays, like that WrestleMania 30, where you had Bryan beat all of Evolution in one night, and you realize the power of that group, and then like going through and just seeing how Orton became the Legend Killer, Batista, his dominant runs. Like that's one that always kind of stuck out with me as being one of my favorites. I'm trying to think of like what other ones. Like I remember the Radicals. That was a good one. I completely forgot about the Radicals until you mentioned about them, Mike.
Yeah, well, that's like you said. I agree with you about Benoit. I mean, he would be on my list of favorites. I mean, still, regardless of what happened, he still, at the time was one of like my favorite wrestlers to watch. Larry Saturn at that point, and before he started walking around with a mop, was he was intense as shit when you watched him wrestle. He was not a big guy, and somehow you felt like he was going to kill anybody when he's in the ring. Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds.
That's why I picked the one that's better, because he's got 1,004. Another one that I always fought back and forth is the Ministry. Not the corporate ministry, just the Ministry of Darkness.
Ministry of Darkness, right.
Yeah, Taker, you had the Brood, Minion,
Who's that,
the Acolytes.
APA, well, yeah, the Acolytes before they became the APA.
APA was just the two of them?
Yeah, APA was the Acolytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when they stopped being dark and started being real, the true story of the APA. I don't. It's a stretch.
What does the APA stand for, Peach?
Acolyte Protection Agency.
All right.
Yeah. And I mean, that was an early one too that I really liked. Whatever reason, Minion put in the symbol on his forehead. Taker putting Stephanie up on the cross. Taker abducting Stephanie. Those are some storylines that always really stuck out for me. The corporate ministry, while I like the idea and concept, like the whole McMahon reveal, that kind of just shut it down for me. I remember. I actually do remember being like, oh man, it was Vince McMahon. But then as I grew up, I was like, man, that was a cop-out.
I'm going to jump back on the Dudleys real quick.
Go ahead.
Do you know who the original three members of the Dudley family were?
Spike, Devon, and Bubba?
No.
You are Spike... 0 for 3.
Oh, wow.
Because Spike really... When was...
Dudley, Big Dick Dudley, and Snot Dudley were the original three.
Whatever happened to them?
Snot Dudley was injured in a jet ski accident, and then they introduced Dances with Dudley. Then Chubby Dudley and Sign Guy Dudley were at it, and then finally Bubba Ray was at it. So Bubba Ray and Devon were not original members, and I actually just found that out myself. I did not know the history of ECW enough to know that they were not original members.
I'm trying to figure out who the hell their manager was.
Yeah, I'm looking now through the history of it.
Wasn't like ECW? Don't they have like its own stable of like the originals?
There was the originals in the ECW, the WWE ECW versus the New Breed, which was Dreamer, Sabu, Van Dam, and I want to say Sandman, but I feel like that might be incorrect. But yeah, they had the match at was it the New Brood? No. They had a match at Mania against the like the New Breed or something like that, to where it was like Kevin Thorne. I even forget who Elijah Burke, because he was supposed to be the big guy of that group. Man, Man, I forget who else was in that. But yeah, it wasn't as good. But so
Joel Gertner.
Thank you. He came back for one of the I think one of the one night stands and introduced the Dudleys.
Yeah, I could picture him. I just couldn't think of his.
Yeah, like big fat guy. Yeah. But yeah,
they called him Studley Dudley when he was a member of them.
Nice. So, yeah, one of my current ones I'm very excited about, and just I'll kind of end it here, unless Mike or Peach, you have a current one, just not to linger too long on. Sanity. Love Sanity. Young, Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and then Nikki Cross. I think they are poised to be huge, or they should be. Very excited with them coming up to SmackDown. I'm hoping they kind of keep the traction that they gained in NXT and just keep going.
Well, the one problem is Nikki Cross is not coming with them.
Not yet, but I like that just because it adds a little bit to them in the future.
Yeah, as long as they continue, as long as there's still a faction by the time she comes up, yes. But that reminds me, watch the latest NXT. I don't know. Did you read results for it at all?
Are you talking about a tag team?
No, just watch it.
Okay.
You didn't. Just watch it. Trust me. I want to talk about it, but I want you to watch it first. So,
okay.
But it just reminded me because Eric Young, assuming wrestles his last match in NXT on it. So that's all I'm going to say about it. But
I've read the results for it. I forget what happened. Yeah. We'll talk after this.
Okay. But
yeah.
Either way, it just reminded me because of Eric Young showed up on it. But no, yeah, I like the future for them as long as, again, it's the same thing with the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
I think do it the right way if you keep it together.
I would put the Undisputed Era as that team going up, but I don't see them staying together for the long term like a Sanity could.
No, I agree with you. I think they're purely for NXT purposes.
Yeah.
And they might not. I mean, they might all go their separate ways. You might not even see a tag team come out of that when it's all said and done.
Well, you'll see Red Dragon come out of it. Pete, you agree with Red Dragon?
No, I like Blue Dragon.
All right, fair enough. What about you? Are there any like kind of current stables or something that are?
Are there girls like becoming a stable like that? The set of like the newer NXT girls.
Well, there's the Riot Squad, which just came up. At the Women's Battle Royal, all the female ladies kind of banded together, teamed up for a little bit, but not
as opposed to the male ladies.
Yeah. But yeah, nah, nothing, not like a stable of women like that.
I was just wondering if they were trying to develop something like that.
Those are Peachy's current favorite, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, they did have some in NXT. You had what was it? The BFFs. That was what, Sasha, Summer, and Charlotte, I think you had originally down there. You have the Iconic Duo tag team, but Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. I don't think there's really many other.
I mean, Absolution was one.
Yeah, and they were strictly kind of NXT people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but none of that kind of stabling's coming up to WWE.
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, stable like from the women's side or just in general?
Just from the women's side.
Nah.
NXT's fighting. I think that's why Nikki Cross is still down there and not up with Sanity.
Yeah, because they need
some more women wrestlers down there, and eventually, I assume that's going to become Candice LeRae.
Yeah, Candice LeRae, Kairi Sane, Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, the one military chick, I forget what her name is.
But Nikki Cross gives them some, like, since they basically lost every other veteran that was down there, Nikki Cross is like the only veteran to NXT name that's still there.
That could be quote unquote a heel.
Nah.
So, Mike, you got a quick kind of current team other than Sanity?
I mean, it's hard for me not to like Undisputed Era. That's probably my favorite one going right now. And I love the fact because it holds itself to that Bullet Club NWO style that I don't think anybody's safe. I think you'll eventually see Roderick Strong kind of get kicked out of it. I'm hoping that it's long term enough.
I was actually thinking the other way. I was thinking
Right.
Roddy's going to turn on Adam Cole at some point. And I can see, just because I think Roddy needs a stable more than Adam Cole does.
And Adam Cole might get the call up before the rest of the guys do.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what I'm almost looking forward to, that part of it, where like Sanity, you're not sitting there thinking like, okay, somebody's going to turn on somebody.
Nah, those guys, those four need to stay together. I think if any of them kind of break off, they're done.
Yeah,
I don't see Alexander Wolf doing anything on his own. I don't see Killian Dane might be the only one. Eric Young, he in theory should be able to, but I don't really. I don't see it happening outside of having that group around him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm like. I'm looking forward to whoever turns on whoever, because it's coming. It'll eventually happen. So I look forward to that, because it literally could be anybody in that group. Even if it's just a temporary break off, it literally could be anybody that they kick out or that turns on everybody. So I'm waiting for that.
Yep. Pete, you got any?
No, not really.
He likes that women's group that's forming.
Yeah, Riot Squad.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I think we'll end it there with our stable talk this week. And no, we're not talking about horses. That's Matt Walton's joke of the week. You're welcome for that one. I'm glad you stayed to the end of the podcast to hear that. So, little somewhat Avengers tie-in with groups of people.
All right, for all the spoilers, Walt.
No, I can't do that to people. Thanos demands your silence. So I haven't even told Peachy what happened in it, and I usually tell him anyway. So, no, but yeah, I would say if you get a break from wrestling this week, go check out Avengers. Definitely worth it. But
the first one, not Infinity War.
I would still agree with that statement. That's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. So, but that's for another podcast. But any last words from you guys before I awkwardly sign off like I do every week?
Peach?
Ladies, Walton is single.
And my last word is I'll do Walton's job and say retweet, like us, subscribe us, review us on iTunes. Please review us on iTunes. Do everything you can, rate us. Even if it's a 1 because Walton sucks at this, that's fine. Just review it and say that's why he gave us a 1. But yeah, just
well, give us a 4.
Continue to download, listen. Yeah, 4.
Give us a 4, not a 1, just because the mics don't deserve that. I deserve it. The mics don't.
Yeah, he deserves that loss of a star. But yeah, continue doing what you're doing. I know Walton's been super excited over our progress. Well, we've all been super excited. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Once we passed 1 download a show, well, I should say 3 downloads.
Yes,
I'm assuming Mike Peachy is also downloading them. Once we passed 3 downloads a show, I felt excited that other people were actually listening to this. So.
Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this, and we're hoping everyone's enjoying it. But I guess until next week, as I always awkwardly say, and I just try to do this now more awkward every week to see if I can top it from the week before.
This is not done on purpose, people. Don't let it lie to you.
We should just start doing Irish goodbyes as the one and just stop talking and leave. Yep, exactly. But until next week, everyone, we will catch you guys later. Have a good one.